This is the Cochlear implant and its phenomenal success through the integration of neuroscience and technology. So what is a cochlear implant? A cochlear implant is a small, complex electronic device that can help to provide a sense of sound to people who have severe hearing loss from inner ear damage or people who are no longer helped by using hearing aids. The implant consists of an external portion that sits behind the ear and a second portion that is surgically placed under the skin. An implant has the following parts: a microphone which picks up sound from the environment, a speech processor which selects and arranges sounds picked up by the microphone, a transmitter and receiver which receives the signals from the processor and converts them into electrical impulses, and finally an electrode array in the cochlea, which is a group of electrodes that collect the impulses from the stimulator and sends them to different regions of the auditory nerve. An implant does not restore normal acoustic hearing. Instead, it can give a deaf person a useful representation of sounds in the environment and help him or her to understand speech. A cochlear implant is very different from a hearing aid. Hearing aids are essentially a microphone that amplifies sound for people with a functional inner ear who have mild to moderate hearing loss. Cochlear implants are surgical implanted devices that bypass damaged portions of the inner ear and directly stimulate the auditory nerve, sending the signals to the brain, which recognizes the signals as sound. So basically, hearing aids help those with mild hearing loss, whereas cochlear implants help those with profound deafness. There is a heavy neuroscience background to the innovation of cochlear implants. The cochlear implant is the most widely successful neuroprosthesis, recovering hearing for more than 500,000 severely to profoundly deaf people. Cochlear implants restore hearing by direct electrical stimulation of the spiral ganglion, the part of the cochlea where the cell bodies of the auditory nerve fibers sit. The contemporary implants consist of a receiver unit implanted under the scalp, from which a stimulating array electrode is run through the temporal bone and inserted into the tympanic duct of the cochlea. Contemporary implants have around 20 or more contacts which deliver electrical stimulation along the auditory nerve. Since the auditory nerve fibers in the cochlea are tonotopically arranged, more electrodes will provide a better frequency resolution. Therefore, the brain can interpret the signals being delivered more easily. It is through this knowledge of the auditory system that the cochlear implant was able to be developed to replace damaged parts and enable hearing. Here is a brief timeline of the technological development of the cochlear implant. In 1957, André Giorno and Charles Ayres tried to restore the facial nerve function of a patient by using a wire with an electrical current. The function of the facial nerve was not restored, but the patient experienced auditory sensations through this electrical current. In 1961, William House and John Doyle developed an electrode that they placed through the round window of the ear in two deaf patients. They reported auditory sensation, also noticing the change of loudness when the level of stimulation varied. It then took House 10 years to develop the first ever working single electrode channel device. This is known as the 3M or House device, which was first implanted in 1972 and continued to be used until 1985. In the meantime, Graham Clark in 1967 conducted basic research on profound deafness in animals and the helpfulness of implants. His efforts materialized the introduction of the first multi-channel cochlear implant system in 1984. Since then, cochlear implant companies such as Medel, the Cochlear Company, and Advanced Bionics have gone to great lengths to develop this kind of technology. The Medel Corporation has 7 generations of implantable components and 10 generations of sound processors. This technology has evolved from ceramic and titanium materials to silicon casing, from 8 electrodes to 24 active electrodes, from big body worn sound presses to single unit compact devices. These advancements are largely due to the complex interaction of technological breakthroughs with the constant collaboration of neuroscientific knowledge and understanding of the auditory system. What are some future directions for the research and development of cochlear implants that are being discussed? A large topic of current research is the development of a device that is completely implantable. The constant miniaturization of parts may allow cochlear implants to be fully implantable in the future. This may require a system to recharge the power supply, perhaps a headband worn during part of the day or at night. It will also require surgical exploration for repairs or upgrades, but the cosmetic advantages will be very attractive to many patients. A downside of the current cochlear implant is the inability to filter out background noise and the difficulty to interpret sound in noisy environments. Much research is being conducted to find a way to modify cochlear implants to filter out certain frequencies and greatly improve meaningful sound interpretation. Furthermore, the current one-size-fits-all approach is deemed insufficient, and the development of cochlear implants that can be readily modified according to a particular patient or environmental need is important. Fine-tuning of the various parameters available, such as frequency response, number of channels, noise suppression, output limitation, and more, can be utilized to optimize function and performance. Finally, increasing the number of nerve fibers receiving different information by increasing the amount of electrode channels placed on the cochlea could greatly increase stimulation and signal interpretation. This could be achieved in a number of ways, such as miniaturizing the electrodes so more can fit in a small space, or using longer electrodes in the round window to stimulate more nerve fibers with different information. All of these steps are being heavily researched due to the competitive market of developing cochlear implants, accelerating the development process of this technology and ultimately aiming to restore hearing in all. Thanks for listening and learning all about the phenomenal cochlear implant and its neuroscience background, technological development, and exciting future prospects to make this innovation even greater.